So today we'll discuss about the Ec2. So before knowing and doing the lab classes, we need to understand what exactly the Ec2 is. Okay, let's go ahead. Let me clear it out. Okay, so Ec2 is nothing but your elastic compute cloud. Elastic compute cloud. Let me make it a slide slow so that it will be visible clearly for everyone. So what is Ec2? I have not written everything in the slide. I have not written everything in the slide. Only the few bullet points I have written, because you will get a very rich documentations from AWS. You don't have to unnecessarily, I don't have to unnecessarily go through all the documentations and read through that. You can do it by yourself. I'll just guide you how you have to follow that. What are the things, what are the bullet points I'm just telling you, and that will be, you'll face that one in your examinations as well as in the interview. Okay, in the certification as well as in the interview. So what is the Ec2? Ec2 is imagine elastic compute cloud, or you can say elastic cloud compute or compute cloud. So it is called imagine Ec2. Is a web service that provides secure resizable compute capacity in the cloud. So secure and resizable, whatever size, whatever configurations you need. Compute service, I have already told you, right? I was discussing in our last classes. The computing services is nothing but the compute power. Whenever you go to market to purchase a laptop or a desktop, what are the configurations of the laptop do you need? Like the processor, the memory, RAM, right? The storage, the operating system, the hardware, the chip, everything you have to look into that, right? And then you'll purchase based on your requirements. Similarly, based on our requirement, our project requirement, we have to choose the server, we have to choose the Ec2 instance correctly. So that is in imagine in AWS, the virtual machine, we call it as Ec2 instance. We'll know this term, will come to use this term very, very frequently, all of the classes. Okay, so what are the Ec2 options? So when we are going to use this Ec2, so there should be some options available for the servers to use. That is called on demand. What is on demand? It allows you to pay fixed rate by the hour or by the second with no commitment. Right? So it allows you a fixed rate. So on demand, it will pay you. So we'll know more about this on demand. Let me just tell you the one-line definitions, then we'll elaborate more on this on demand. Reserved, it provides you with a capacity reservation and offer a significant discount on the hourly charge for an instance, 1 year or 3 years term. Spot, it enables you to bid whatever price you want for instance capacity, providing for even greater savings. Dedicated host is a physical Ec2 server dedicated for your use. So dedicated host can help you to reduce by allowing user existing server bound supply. So let's elaborately know what are these exact options are there. What is this on demand? As I said here, on demand allow you to pay fixed rate by the hour or by the second with no commitment. So we see here on demand, it perfect for users. So who should use this on demand service? So when we should go for on demand, like perfect for users that want to low cost and flexibility of imagine Ec2 without any front-end payment or long-term commitment. On demand, whenever demand increases, so when the demand will be increases, Just think about a real-time project scenario. Suppose you have an web applications. You have an applications which being targeted few customers, and due to some new products you launched or new discounts you provided. Suppose you have an e-commerce site or something, you discount you provided, you got huge number of customers there. Or whatever the product you launched, if you are having web applications and your services may be used by many others customers, and suddenly you got the spike on your applications, you got lots of customers. For that, what do you need? You need another server to be created immediately. So on demand basis, if the demand increases, you go to the market, like you go to the AWS and get another EC2 servers immediately on demand. That means you have to pay low prices and you don't have to pay immediately. You don't have to pay cash immediately. You have to use it for 1 month, and after 1 month bill cycle, you have to pay for it. So what it says, applications with short-term, spiky, or unpredictable workloads that cannot be interrupted. So unpredictable workloads means if you have, like whatever I told you, if you have web applications and suddenly it got lots of customers and lots of traffic came and your application is busted up, like it got heavy load into that. Your server, one single server will be not feasible to handle all these loads. So immediately what you have to do, you have to immediately spin up another Ec2 instance or spin up another virtual machines to handle those workloads. Guys, clear? I think I'm telling you in very simple language. I should understand clearly. If you have any doubt or anything, just let me know, okay? Now, what we say here, applications being developed or tested on Amazon EC2 for the first time. That is very good point here. I've written here, applications being developed or tested on Amazon EC2 for the first time. Why I just went first to teach you this EC2 instances or EC2 services, because it will be very fun, guys, when you start creating your own virtual machine, and it's free, right? Amazon is providing free. If you're going to use, you can do whatever you want, like you can develop your own application, you can host your website, you can do whatever you want remotely on the cloud itself. That's why applications being developed or tested on Amazon EC2 for the first time. So on demand, like you got a project, your company got a new project, right? And you have few servers which are dedicated for something. Which are, you have testing servers, you have development server already existing, you have production server, but immediately suppose you got a new project and immediately you need to have a server to be created and for the development and testing purposes. So what you have to on demand, and that is for short term, not for long term. Suppose you need for a short term, like for 6 months or for 3 months or 6 months, you need to develop something and do test and leave that server away. And once its production goes, you don't need that server. That's where you have to go for on demand. And what is the reserved instances? Reserved instances, applications with steady state or predictable usage. Applications with steady state or predictable usage. Applications that require reserved capacity. Users can make upfront payments to reduce their total computing cost even further. Obviously, if you're reserving something, the service provider will give you some discounts, right? They'll give you some discounts if you're reserving for some certain of time. If you think about whatever the service provider you are using, like with the network, mobile network, suppose Airtel could be your service provider, Jio will be your service provider, right? What they offer you, 28 days or 24 days They have different prices for that, right? And they have different features. Like if you're going for 199 package, they will have 1 GB data per day and SMS free and some kind of talk time, lots of things they're providing, right? And if you go for a long term, like for 4 months, 5 months, even 1 year, what they do, they reduce the charges, they reduce the prices with more offer they provide. The same concept applies here. If you're going for a server, which you need, like which you know that your applications being used steadily, and your applications being used for something which is, you know, that our product, whatever we have designed, it will go at least for next 5 years with a steady usage. So what you have to do, you have to reserve the capacity, reserve the Ec2 instances with that specifications. If you know that your whatever, if you're getting a mobile connection and you know that your mobile connections for your house, and you know that you are going to use for a long term, you can go for 1 year package, then you have to pay less for that, right? With lots of other benefits. Similarly, if you're going for a hotel, for a dinner, if you're taking a group of members, your company team members, what you'll do, you have to reserve the seats. For reservations, you know already you are going to 30 people going for a dinner, then you have to reserve that. That is steady, that is predictable, that is predictions happens already. We are going for a 30 members of a team. So on demand means whenever you get a, like in your house, in a home, your wife or your husband told you, let's go have a dinner at home, at a hotel, then you can on demand basis, you go and just get it. Go and check if there is anything available, get it and pay for that and come out. Same detail, same things being applicable here also. Okay, on demand reserved instances. Next is spot instances. What is the spot instances? Applications that have flexible start and end times. Applications that are only feasible at very low compute prices. You just with an urgent need for large amounts of additional computing capacity. Sometimes what happens, you might have seen like spot instances, like if you have some emergency, what you do? Immediately you bid for, suppose if few of maybe know about the tradings, right? And few of you might be doing the tradings. So there will be a spot bidding will be there, right? What you do, you bid on a price which will give you more return, right? Similarly, if you think you have an urgent requirement and you don't see anything available, so what you do, you bid on something which will be immediately requirement for within fractions of second you need it. Whatever the prices will be available at that time, you have to pay for that. Right? Whatever the prices available at that time, you have to pay for that. So applications that have flexible start and end types can go with spot instances, and applications that are only feasible at very low compute prices, that you have to go for compute prices. You have to go for the spot instance. So sometimes spot instances give a very low prices also. They bid it. Okay. So you have to choose accordingly. And dedicated host, useful for regulatory requirements that may not support multi-tenant virtualization. That may not support multi-tenant virtualization. Do you know, guys, what is virtualization? Okay, don't worry, I'll have a class on virtualization. I'll talk about this virtualization. Virtualization in simple term, let me tell you. If you have a system having some capacity and you want to create that system with 3 or 4 more virtual machines, virtualization. That means virtually you are having one machine, you have one hardware, you have one laptop, but you have created virtually 4 machines. There has a different technique to use virtually. It is totally different sections of how you do virtualizations. I cannot teach you how you have to do virtualizations, but I'll just tell you what is virtualization, how we have to use it, and how you have to do that also. The same concept of virtualizations we are using in the cloud by getting the EC2 instances on the cloud. Those are nothing but the virtual machines. Virtually, why we say virtually? Because we don't physically see it, right? We don't physically touch it. Whatever the laptop you have connected now, or whatever desktop you're using, those are physical laptops or physical server, which you can see it, feel it, and touch it, right? The virtual things, we're simply using it, but we are not seeing it, right? So those are virtually, but there are lots of virtualization concepts are there. It's a big term, so we'll learn once we move on with the virtual machine creations. We'll learn more on the virtualization. Okay, so what is that? It is useful for regulatory requirements that may not support multi-tenant dedicated host. I was talking about one example there. Like if you go for a PG, paying guest, we'll have multiple room systems, right? Single room system, single sharing room, double sharing room, 3 sharing, 4 sharing room, like that, right? That means one room can be shared by multiple tenant, by multiple people. That means one machine can be shared by multiple resources, multiple people, multiple tenant. That means I have created my machine, my laptop, and I have created 4 virtual machines. I can share those 4 virtual machines with 4 people. And they can use that machines. They can use my hardware capacity. They are use my softwares, everything. That is multi-tenant. So what it says, that may not support multi-tenant means dedicated host means you are looking for a single machine, not shared by anyone else. Like you will go with single sharing room. You don't want to share with anybody. That room will be for you. So what benefit you will get from that? Privacy, security, right? If you go for a single tenant virtualization or single or dedicated host, you can say dedicated host, that is for more privacy and security. So what is that? Great for licensing, which does not support multi-tenancy or cloud deployments, can be purchased on demand hourly, can be purchased as reservation up to 70% off on the on-demand price. Dedicated host, you can also, obviously dedicated host will be more costly. If you go for a reservation, if you go for a long term, then you'll get up to 70% discount also on the dedicated host. So why guys I'm telling all these things? EC2 options. Because this is how you have to, whenever doing the solution architecting, you have to think about, you have to understand, you have to do analysis about your complete requirements. Then you have to find a solution for that. Which option should you use for your exact requirement, and what are the costs you can save for your company? Okay. Now let's talk about what is EC2 instance types. So Amazon EC2 provides wide selection of instance type. So I was already telling you sometimes like instance types, and I had also told you, like I'll tell you more details about the type instance type. What is instance types? Optimized to fit different use cases. The instance type comprise varying combinations of CPU, memory, storage, and network capacity. Like I was telling, when you go for to purchase a laptop, you have to think about the configurations. What type of laptop it is? What is the CPU? What is the memory? What is the storage? Right? You have to choose. Similarly, whenever you go for EC2 instances, you have to look after all these instance types. They have different type of instance types. You have different type of instances. You have to choose what type of laptop or what type of machine do you need. What type of virtual machine do you need? They have the various instance types. Okay, so each instance type includes one or more instance sizes, allowing you to scale your resources to the requirements of your target workload. So we have a document here. So here different type of instances. Okay, let me just copy this and ping you in the chat so that you can, everyone can just bookmark it and search. Just open it immediately in your browser and bookmark it. Remember, whatever links I will share or you will find handy, you'll find good and beneficial, just bookmark it for your future reference. Okay, for your future reference. So when I go here and find that particular instance types here, see, we have various instance types available. So we are talking about like CPUs, memories, storage, and all, right? What are those things? If you go here, these are the type of instances or instance types, like for general purpose, for compute optimized, for memory optimized, for accelerated computing, for storage optimized, for HPC optimized instance features and all. So what is this general purpose? What is this compute optimized? So general purpose instances provide a balance of compute, memory, networking resources and can be used for a variety of diverse workloads. These instances are ideal for applications that use these resources in equal proportions, such as web servers and code repositories. So whenever you go for the applications what are being used by web servers and code repository may need some general purpose. Before that, let me just tell you about, suppose these are the categorized, these are the type of instances. If I go, you consider M7G, Mac, this is for Mac, means this is from Mac OS, like iMac, okay? For Windows, we have many more things, right? For T2, suppose let's go with the T2. So here, if you see here, the instance types, type of instances, right? T2 Nano having one CPU, one virtual CPU, CPU credits 3, memory like the RAM 0.5 gigabyte, EVS storage. Like if you have a requirement of suppose 4 CPUs, you need 4 CPUs and you need 16 GB of RAM. So what you have to choose? You have to choose for T2X large for your requirement. And if you see here, we have this compute optimized, memory optimized, accelerated computing. What are these? This compute optimized is nothing but your, what is the compute? More computing power you need. You need something, your applications require more compute power. So that's categorized as C7G, C7GN, C6I, something like this. So you have to follow this documentations all the time whenever you use and do architecting or do finding a requirement for your solution for your requirements. See, for computing, we can have this storage up to like this. Network bandwidth or with GPS like gigabyte per second, 12.5, EVS bandwidths with up to 10, like this. If you go for memory optimized, this is for compute optimized, if you go for memory optimized, we'll have like this R7 categorized, R7 category. In this category, we have high memory. See, even 512 RAM. If you want more RAM, 512 R7G dot metal, the type of, you don't have to remember everything here. Whenever you need some solutions, you can just come here and provide, just search for these things, whatever things you need it, right? These are the documentations, you have to keep it handy. Even you can see I have already bookmarked it and I use frequently whenever I need it, right? This is how you have to use. Now, if we talk about these are the Ec2 instances, and they uses the EBS volume, elastic block stores, right? So, okay, so we'll have elastic block stores in maybe in our next class. So for the time being, let's talk about these Ec2 instances and type of Ec2 instances and what are the things we are going to get it. Let me go ahead and do the lab class now. Okay, so in tomorrow classes, or day after tomorrow classes, will talk about the EBS things. We have lots of things to learn about this Ec2 and EBS and all. Okay, we'll have another things called EBS. We'll talk about it a day after tomorrow. But now let me show you hands-on how we can create the server and how we can connect and start working on this. Okay, it will be good. It will be very fun, guys. Just see what I'm doing, and you have to do practice similarly at your home. Now, let's go and log into the console first. I already have logged in, I think. Let me close this one. I already have logged in. Yes, I have this console, right? So let's go to the Ec2 services. So how you'll get it? Go to the services, go to the compute section here, go to the compute and click on the Ec2. Or if you know Ec2, here directly search for Ec2. Or if you don't know about Ec2, that particular service name, you can search for virtual machine, something like this, if you know the virtual machine. So Ec2, okay, virtual machine is not coming. If you see virtual server or something, you will find okay, virtual server. Okay, we'll get this Ec2 here. Virtual server will get this Ec2 here. Okay, different ways you can find, or you can just search for compute. You can search for compute, and you'll find the compute, lots of computing, other options available. Also, you'll find Ec2 features, instances, sometimes the services also, right? So better search for here, type for Ec2, you'll find it out. Now let's go ahead, click on this Ec2, and you'll be landed into the Ec2 dashboard here. You'll be landed into the Ec2 dashboard here. And you can see here in this dashboard, we have what it says, instances running. That means what are the current instances running. And remember, this dashboard, whatever you are seeing, is based on the region. I've selected in the Mumbai region, so this dashboard belongs to the Mumbai region. And Ec2 service is region specific. Okay, so in this region, Mumbai region, I don't have any instances running. However, I have one instances available, which I have not used. Sorry, I have not started yet. The services, the instances is there, but it is in stopped condition. I have one volumes and all. So let me show you how we can go and create the instances. And if you see here, I was showing you the instances there, instances types. And here, if you go in this instance section over here, you'll find instances. If I click instances, you can see what are the instances available in this region. I have one instance available, but the state is currently stopped. If you want to know about instance types, just click on this. You'll find the same documentations about the various instance types. See, here are the instance types, many. See, 192 and all this. right? So pages, how many pages? We have 8 pages, right? All this, all the instances, you can find it over here also. If I go for something T2 micro, what we am getting? 1 CPU, 1 GB RAM, and they have pricing structure also, guys. They have pricing structure also. So how you'll understand the pricing structure, that is most important to know as a solution architect, as a cloud service provider. You have to understand how the service provider provides with the pricing. Suppose you are going to use this T2 micro, right? So they charge on-demand pricing 0.0124 USD per hour. 0.0124 USD, US dollar per hour. That is for Linux, on-demand Linux machine, Linux server. If you are going for Windows server, they have a different price, that is 0.017 USD per hour. This is calculated hourly basis. Suppose you go with this T2 micro Linux machine. So 0. Let me get my calculator. So if I go with 0.0124, so per day is 24 hours, right? Into 24. So I'll get around $0.29, not even $1. Per day, you have to pay this much into 30 days. So we have to pay around $9. So if I convert this $9 to rupees, so 9 USD to INR, it will be around 745 rupees with the current exchange price. Okay, 745 rupees monthly you have to pay. And this will vary based on the exchange prices, Indian currency against the USD dollar, US dollar. Okay, so this is the price if you're going with this T2 micro. Similarly, if you go with, suppose, something like C518 large, what? See, per hour they are charging $3. Linux machine, Windows machine, they charge for $6.372 per hour. Think about how much you have to pay. Okay, so you'll be thinking now, if I'm going to use it, should I pay for that? No. For T2 micro, they are providing complete 1 year, 12 months free, total 12 months free. So they will not charge you if you are going to use only T2 micro. The rest of the things they will charge you. If you use, these are not falls under the free tier. These are not falls under free tier. Only the T2 micro, not even T2 nano. T2 micro falls under free tier. So if you are going to use this under free tier, within the 12 months, you are not going to pay anything. Again, there is some conditions also there. What is that? You are going to use this T2 micro free, but the EVS, the storage, the hard drive, what you need, because a laptop or whatever desktop you need, you have to at least go with the hard drive, right? Hard disk, the storage, the block storage, EVS, that they are providing only 30 GB up to free. Only 30 GB monthly. Beyond 30 GB, they will charge you. Beyond 30 GB, they will charge you. Okay, and I'm going to tell you lots of other things also once we move on. Okay, let's go ahead and create a machine now. We are going out of time. Let's go ahead. So we have these instances. Either if I go to the dashboard, you can see here, you can directly click on this launch instances, or you can go to these instances and here you can click on the launch instance. Click on this. Okay, and you'll be landed into the launch instance page here and provide a name to the instance. But what is the name of your instance you want? Suppose I'll give as demo server, something like this. I'll give as demo server. And what is this application and OS image? Or we call it as AMI. AMI. That is nothing but your Amazon machine image. The Amazon machine image. So what is this Amazon machine image? What is this AMI? An Amazon machine image is a template that contains the software configurations like the operating system. So whatever we know so for the instance type, what that contains? That contains your CPU, storage, memory, network, bandwidth, all these things. But you need an operating system also, right? This AMI is actually nothing but your operating system with the required libraries, binaries packed together. Okay, this Amazon machine image, operating system, application server, and applications required to launch your instance, search or browse for AMIs. Like once you get your laptop, you might need your software operating system to be installed, right? So first here, whenever you're going for a virtual server or virtual machine, you have to choose your operating system. Now, we have varieties of operating system. We have Amazon Linux, Mac OS, like Mac operating system, Ubuntu, Windows, Red Hat, SUSE Linux, Debian, all are the flavors, all are the operating system type. We know already Windows, we know Mac operating system, we know Linux or Unix, right? So today's class also about, I'll show you one simple Linux operating systems or Linux server setup, okay? So how we'll do that? Go to the Amazon Linux here, select it. And if you see here, this Amazon, when you select, not all the operating system belongs to Amazon Linux family are free. Here also point to be remembered, to be noted. Here, few things are free. This image is free, tier eligible. Free tier eligible. This is not free. This is free tier eligible. And these are also not free, right? So you have to choose which is free. So I have choose this one, free. If you want to be under free tier, if you are working for a company, for a company project, and your company is paying based on your company selections, based on your company requirement, you have to choose. And even you don't have to choose these images, you have to choose your own image. That is a different topic, different part, and we'll learn all together, okay? Once we are familiar with this. So we choose the AMI. I think all clear, guys. Do you have any doubt so far?
No, sir.
Good. If you have any doubt, you can ask me also, okay? So descriptions, it's about the descriptions, leave it. And the architecture, like the processing, the architecture. We have 86 architecture, we have 64-bit x86 architecture or ARM architecture. So you have to select that architecture, right? Then instance type. See, I was talking about the instance type, right? The same instance type, you have to see it here also. And whenever you select this instance type, make sure you select for free tier eligible if you want to be stay under free tier. So only T2 micro falls under free tier. If I select this one, we have T2 nano, no, it's not even falls under free tier. T2 small, T2 medium, all this. If you go here, there are many hundreds of instance types, okay? These are not free. So you have to choose accordingly. So select free tier eligible. Got it? So once you select the instance type, what it gives, even nowadays, they are providing the pricing information. If it does not falls under, if your account goes beyond 12 months, if it has crossed 12 months, the day you created and it has crossed 12 months, then this is the pricing chart. This is the pricing for your, this will be the pricing for your machine, for your virtual server. Okay, be careful. Now, the key pair. So what is this key pair? The key pair is nothing but your login credential, login connections, how you want to connect your server. You can use this key pair to securely connect to your instance. So we call it as instance, Ec2 instance. I was talking about, right? I was telling you about all this. So you have to work in the instances or servers or machines, you can say, but normally it says as Ec2 instance. So we need this key pair to securely log into our Ec2 instance. So what we can do, you can select the key pairs, whatever is available here, or we can create our fresh key. Let me show you how to create it. Click on this create new key pair and provide a name. Suppose I'll give something like weekday demo, something like this. The key pair name, and this key pair name should be meaningful, should be useful based on the requirement. See here for the demo, I just gave a random name, but the name should be specific as per your project or requirement. Now, the keys pair type, you can use RSA encrypted. This is the encryptions. What type of encryptions do you need? This is the RSA encryptions type and all. So this encryption type will be either RSA or ED 25519. Or this private key file format, what type of format do we need? If you're going to use with PuTTY, you can download the PPK file, public private key. It's called public private key. Or you need the PEM file. This is certificate, PEM certificate file. Okay. So let me download. I'll show you both way, PPK as well as PEM. Let me create a key pair with .pem. So create key pair. So when you click on the create new key pair, remember it will be automatically downloaded to your machine where you have connected to the AWS website. Okay. So it downloaded to my laptop to the downloaded folder. Okay. We can. So you have to keep it handy. If you lost this key, you're not able to log into the server. If you lost this key, you cannot log in, you cannot able to log into this server. Then you have to regenerate and re-get the server and get a new key, and then lots of things you have to do. Okay, so keep it handy, this server. Now, once you get this server key pair, so you can see here we have the network settings. So this complete network parts you will not understand now, because it has a huge topic on the networks we are going to cover, along with we have in the network services in the cloud. So once we learn those services, you will understand more. But now let me tell you some overview on this, some basics, so that you can have at least some ideas. So this is the network, means which network you want to, like the VPC, like virtual private cloud, which network you want to use or create this machine. Because you need an infrastructure, right? You're going to set up a house or set up a data center. For that, you need an infrastructure. You need a place where you have to place the server, right? We need a network where you want to put this one. So I put this on this default network. And then subnet. So the subnet is the like where you want the default subnet in any availability zone, in which availability zone or which subnet you want to put it. So you have to just select this subnet. So for now, we don't have any subnet available. Now, if I just want to change it, what I'll do, I can just click on the edit button here. See, we have the VPC required. So you can select what are the VPC available. Currently, I have only one network available because we have not yet created our own default custom network. So I'm using the default network being available and created during the account creation. When you create the account, by the time they will assign the default network to you. So that network, you have to use it. Got it? And if you see the subnet, we click this information. So the subnet in which network interface is located. So in this network, which subnet or which IP range or CIDR range do you need your server to be set off. So for subnet, we have 3 subnets available or based on the availability. One subnet belongs to one availability zone. So as I said already, one region can have one or multiple availability zone. So guys, from this, can you any of you tell in Mumbai region how many availability zones are there? We have 3 availability zones. For Mumbai regions, we have 3 availability zones. Similarly, for other regions also, they might have 4 regions, 4 availability zones, 5 availability zones, even 2 availability zones. Okay, 2, 3, 4, 5, something like this. So for Mumbai region, we have 3 availability zones. And in which subnet, which availability zone do you want your machine to be placed? You want to keep it. Suppose I want to create in availability zone 1B. Got it? And next is auto assign public IP. Means if you select enable it, we have both enable or disable. If you disable it, means it will not have one public IP. So why we need a public IP? Why we need a public IP? Can anybody tell?
Other people need to access the server whenever launching the application.
Yes. So we want that server or the IP address to be make it public so that anyone can access your server or anyone can access your applications deployed or installed in the machine or server. So we need a public IP to be connected through the over the network, over the internet. Through internet, you can able to connect your server. Okay, so we need auto assign public IP. We have to enable it. Now, once you enable it, automatically it get assigned. If you don't want to automatically get created, we have different topic to talk about different service, elastic IP and all. So we'll talk about later on how to create those things. But for the time being, just think about this, enable it. Okay. Now the firewall security group, and this security group is nothing but we have a separate class on the security group. For the time being, I'm just using the security group because if I talk each and everything, again, it will take another day also to complete. Okay. There are lots of things there. So I'm just skipping now to create. So I'm not going to create a security group. We have a separate class on security group. Maybe next class we'll talk about EBS and security group together to finish it. So remember, the security group is kind of a firewall to provide secure your server. So you have to provide the security group. So let me just, okay, I'm not going to use the security group. And let me just go ahead and create a security group. And suppose I'll just give it, I'm not going to explain anything, just simply creating it. Okay. Something is the security group. I gave it. Okay. And here as the inbound and outbound rule, and I have given whitelisted the port 22. Okay. As I said, there are lots of things I have to discuss. If I tell now, even will not have time to create the machine. So we'll talk about day after tomorrow. Now let's move on. We have all these network settings and we have the storage. Here I'll tell you a good point. Remember tomorrow, day after tomorrow, just remind me to talk about the security group. It will take at least 30 minutes of time to explain you everything from the scratch. Okay, because you need to understand whatever I'm delivering, it's high master level. Okay, from the scratch, from the basic to master level. So those people who will never will be unable to grasp. Let me just tell me how we can go slowly on this. Okay, I understand there are lots of terms, lots of concepts which will not be in your mind. It may go beyond your mind or beyond your, over your head. You're not able to catch all these things, but still try to understand. Not in this world, not everything can be learned in one day, right? It will take some time to get mastered. Even a child, whenever he or she burns, it takes at least 1 year of time to work, right? Similarly, whatever things you are learning, go slowly. But you have to go slowly and steady, not disconnect. Go slowly, steadily, and you'll definitely be stand on your own leg and you can do whatever you want, right? So slowly go on this, and we have to learn lots of things. I love to deliver everything, whatever I have learned. That's why I done this, design this course, right? For everyone to learn together. Okay. So this networking concept will just disclose you everything, all details in a separate classes. So the storage. So what is this storage? Storage means like what are the, this is nothing but your EBS storage, block storage, right? EBS storage. So here it is clearly mentioned, free tier eligible customer can get up to 30 GB. That is what I was telling just before, right? We'll have 30 GB of EBS general purpose SD is free. Beyond 30 GB, if you're going to use, that will charge you. So when you default create one Linux server, remember by default the root volume will have 8 GB. Someone may ask you questions also. Default will be 8 GB. If you want to increase it to 100 GB, you can do that. But remember, 30 GB is free. Next 70 GB you have to pay. And that will be huge price. Okay. So I'll be with 8 GB, safer side. 8 GB. All right. Default, by default, it will show you 8 GB for Linux machine. For Windows machine, it will show you 30 GB. By default is 30 GB. Okay. Now, if you want to add extra volume, you can add it, but we'll do this in our volume classes. Once we finish the EBS and volume classes, that time I'll show you. Let it be there, the root volume now, 8 GB general purpose. Okay. Advanced details I'm not showing you now. It will again bounce on your head. So let it be there with minimal, everything I have given as default. I did not do anything else, right? Now, secret here in the summary, what are the things you choose to here? Let's go ahead and select launch instance. Okay, so our instance is now successfully launched. Our instance is now successfully launched. So how we'll connect this instance? So you can use your instance two separate ways. I'll show you. If you have a Mac machine, Mac operating system or iMac, if you're using, you can directly log in through your terminal. Or if you're using Windows machine, we have a different procedure, different tool to use to connect the Linux server. And that is most important. You should know that tool, how to connect your Linux machine from Windows server. Because whenever you work on the company, most of company, they connect from, they use their Windows machine, Windows laptop, but whenever they connect the Linux server, they use the PuTTY tool, which I'll tell you and show you how you have to do. Okay, PuTTY tool, how you're going to connect it. Now, so once you can see here, the successfully initiated, let's go ahead and check the few all instances. And if I go here, so you can see here, our demo server, this is the instance ID, is currently running. And the status check is initializing. If I select this one, we have lots of informations here. We have lots of informations. I'll go with all these informations, okay? But not now. If I go again, as I said, it will take more time to discuss. So there are lots of discussions. You can see here, we have this public IP created. We have this public IP created. We have this private IP created and all this. We have this public DNS name and all. How we'll connect this server? Through this public IP. Okay, let me copy this public IP. If you're using Mac OS, go to your terminal. Go to your terminal here and just type, and where you need the certificate file. So our certificate file will be there in my case, it is in my download folder. It is in my download folder. So if I do ls-l, these are the Linux commands. Okay, these are the Linux command. We'll have simple Linux commands. I'll tell you what is that in our next class. Okay, and if I use ls-l, just do start.pem. I'm giving the filter option to filter out all the PEM file available in this folder. So I have these many certificates available. So currently what certificate is created? This is the certificate I created now, right? Weekdays demo. Now I need this certificate to connect the server. So what I'll do, let's use SSH-i. So SSH is a secure shell protocol to connect from Linux to Linux. Mac OS is the Linux terminal. Okay, Mac OS is the Linux terminal. So I'm connecting from Linux server to Linux server. I'm directly using SSH protocol on the terminal. If you're using Windows to Linux, you have to use this tool, but still you have to use SSH protocol with a different tool that I'll show you. Don't worry, I'll share one thing and you can do by yourself also. Now I have to use SSH-i, then you have to pass the key. The key name is weekdays demo. And as it is Amazon Linux, I selected what is the operating system? Amazon Linux machine, right? So default user for Amazon Linux is ec2-user. ec2-user, you have to provide provide the public IP here or DNS name. So let me copy this public IP and paste it here. So what happened? You have to use SSH-i certificate username @public IP. If you are connecting from a terminal, Linux terminal, hit enter. Yes. So what it is saying, this is very, very usefully to try to understand. Whenever I downloaded the key, this key is two open. So permission 044 2 open. We'll talk about this. Means this is the security breach. So we have to correct it. So what I have to do, if I just do ls-l weekdays demo, we'll see here these permissions, right? I'll tell you about some Linux terminology to you to understand how the permissions gets calculated in our upcoming classes, maybe in our next classes. Okay, so this is two open, means everyone can read this file. That's why it is, see, unprotected private file. It gives us warning, unprotected private key file. Let's fix this one. So how we'll fix this one? There is a command called chmod, right? Then give a suppose I'll give 400. Just see what I'm doing, and then I'll explain you later on this. Okay, let's type L again. So now you can see here what was the permission label. Now I changed to only read permissions to the user. Ranjit Swami only can read this file. No one else can read this file because this is very secure file, right? Certificate file. If it is stolen, someone can use this file to log into your server and can mishandle everything, right? So now if I do the same command again, SSH command with this certificate file, see, now we can able to log into the server. It gives us Amazon Linux 2 AMI. I am able to log into the server now. So you can see here, I am into this PWD is nothing but a present working directory. So whatever the command I will use going forward in the Linux platform, everything, just make a note, everything. Also, if you want, I'll have a small Linux class also separately for you guys to understand the Linux commands and all. Okay. So PWD gives us present working directory. So it is nothing but your home EC2 user of this server. So I connected from my laptop to the cloud machine. This is now my cloud machine. This is the cloud server now. Okay, now it's clear, guys. This is how you connect it to the Linux machine. So in our tomorrow classes, day after tomorrow classes, next classes, we'll do lots of other stuffs in this server. So I got my virtual server now. The virtual server is available now. So let's play around it, but I'll show you everything in our next class. Okay, guys, one more thing. This is, I showed you how you connect from the terminal, right? How you connect from the Linux terminal to Linux. Similarly, in my YouTube channel, I have one more things available, which will give you the things like, okay, I'll show you the link. Okay, don't worry. In my channel, there is one video I have prepared, how you connect to the Linux server from Windows machine. Step-by-step process is there. Just watch this video. It's not more than 10 minutes. I think 10 to 15 minutes, I think, not more than that. So you just watch it and just install a putty tool. Okay, you can Google a putty tool directly. You can install it. So putty, download putty. It's free SSH tool from Windows. You have to open source terminal emulator to connect to the Linux machine from Windows. In that video, I have given step by step. Just go through that and install the putty server. You can able to connect the server once you created the Linux server. Okay, then you can connect from the Windows machine. Okay, so once you do all your R&D, once you do practice and saw the Windows machine is running and all, so what you can do, you can terminate this server or stop this server. Better terminate or stop this server. So how will do that? Select this instance state. Either you can stop it or terminate it. If you terminate, it will delete the machine itself. It will delete the machine. If you stop it, it will stop and it will be available in your availability zone and it will be kept like this stopped. Okay, so let me terminate because I don't need this server, right? So let me terminate it. So is there any question coming in your mind? Why should you stop or terminate? Let it be there running because it is free for 1 year, right? And even we are using 8 GB of storage, EBS, and it's like 750 hours free a month. So why should I terminate or shut down it or stop it?
But only one instance they will allow, right?
No, you can you can use 2-3 instances, but here is the tricky. That's what you said also good. They allow 750 hours. So if you're running 1 instances, 750 hours, okay. They'll not charge you anything. So if you created 2 servers, so each running 750 hours, total will be 750 plus 750.
1500.
1500. So they'll charge you, they'll just remove 750 and that 750 hours, the rest 750 hours, they'll charge you. So don't create and keep it run more than 1 server. And also, why should you keep it run? Whenever you do practices, delete it immediately or stop it immediately. Yes, we understand that Amazon is providing us free for our development, for our learning purposes. And why should we misuse that, right? Let's show some courtesy to use it whenever is required for your learning purpose and stop that server. So that, because see, in the world, how many people will be using their server freely? And everyone, if you keep the server running, whatever the load, whatever the pressures will be there on their data center, right? So we have to also keep something to there, like whatever time you need to use it, and then stop the server. So tomorrow, whenever you come back, select this. Suppose this machine is stopped, right? So once the server is terminated, you cannot get it back the same server until unless you took the backup. That is a different topic. I will cover it. Don't worry. Okay. So now this server is terminated without backup. I cannot get it back. But this server is stopped. If you want to start it, I can start it. Select it, click go here, start the instance. So it will be started. Okay. So be careful whenever you are stopping or terminating. If you're sure that you are not requiring the server anymore, then you can simply go ahead and terminate it. If you think if the server maybe you use in future, maybe tomorrow or day after tomorrow, after 5 or 10 days, you can stop it. But the volume should be under 30 GB, right? If I go here, see, if I select this particular service, right? If I go to the storage, so this volume size is 20 GB. This Ansible Terraform server is nothing but 20 GB of volume. And this demo server I created with 8 GB. So I was in the safer side, 20 plus 8, not 30 GB, right? Below 30 GB. So I was in the safer side. So if you created a server of 20 GB again, what will happen? So you will be thinking that I am using only 20 GB. But the other server which is stopped, also the server, the volume is attached here, and that will be in use. That will be in use. Even though it is running or not, you have to pay completely for the volume you are using. The volume, it is attached. So 40 GB total, 30 GB is free, 10 GB extra you have to pay. This is what it calculates. This is how it calculates. Okay. Anyway, just heard about this. We have to explore more on this, and you'll come to know more things on this. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
So
yeah.
I have one question. For example, today I created one instance for 20 GB.
Yeah.
So after 2 days, I need to reduce the size. Is it possible, or once you
Yes.
have created, it's okay.
Yes, it is completely possible to reduce it, to increase it. That is what the flexibility it provides, right?
Okay.
That is what the flexibility Amazon provides. If you want to reduce it, you can reduce it. If you want to increase it, you can increase it. Okay. All these things will cover in our volume section. We have a separate class on the EBS volume section. That class we'll discuss. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all, guys, for today's class. We'll meet up in the next class day after tomorrow. Okay.